This video is the next step in the attendance benefit tracking for NonProfit Cloud. This is the Manage Benefit Schedule Participants in Attendance session. We've added participants and now we want to track them. The first step is to go out and find and select the West Side Spring Intermediate Healthy Cooking class. And they suggest using global search. We're going to do it using this app that I built that's just really all the different objects. So we've got the benefit schedules and we're seeing the West Side Spring Intermediate Health Cooking class. So let's open that one. And looking at the instructions, it says to select a benefit session in the upcoming sessions component. Now when I originally launched it, I didn't find that component. I've since added it. And what I did was to go out to the Lightning App Builder. And you can see this is called Upcoming Benefits. What I did was to go down here and in the standard Lightning components, down at the bottom, I found Upcoming Benefit Sessions, which I dragged over here. I'm not exactly sure where it should be. This is just downloaded the trial, so I'm not sure why the trial at this point in July of 2024 doesn't have these components already loaded onto pages. But going back to it, we now have an upcoming sessions. We also have benefit sessions, but this is a cleaner way of being able to look at it, so we appreciate that. It also has the add participants right there for it for a single session. And since it's upcoming sessions, note that it dropped the July 11th session. So going out to this session, I click the attendance tab on the record. Well, when I pulled it up, really all I had was the related and details, and related was just the benefit disbursements. It's a benefit session. Taking a look at the data model, and then my version of it just so I could understand the hierarchy. We went from a benefit schedule to a benefit session, and we're interested in attendance for this benefit session. So what I had to do was to go out, edit the page again, and looking in the Lightning App Builder for the benefit session record page, I could add this attendance tracker. And I've just pulled it in here. I'm not sure what the best use case is, and again I look forward to seeing that in a future trial to see how it should look. So we have the attendance tab now, and we want to update either a single participant or multiple. So what we're going to do is we're going to click in the participants row and we're going to go with absent. So here's Alex, and seeing the enrolled, we can click here and we can change it to absent. Now he's marked absent. But then the instructions say that we also have to click in the dispersed quantity column and enter a 0. So if we look at the dispersed quantity column, that's meaning that because he was absent, he didn't get the credit for the class. So clearly this is a future flow, or we're going to see additional enhancements to this package, because that doesn't make a lot of sense to have to do it as a two-step process. And then I'd encourage us to save our work, and then it's going to update the benefit disbursement. So let's see. We click Save. And then we look in our related benefits disbursements, but we have to refresh them. Looking at the related, now we have somebody who was marked absent, but we don't really have any clarity on who that was, which is why it's nice to have this other view of that. Then the instructions suggest that we update the rest to all attended. And the way we do that is to select everybody, and then unselect Alex. And then now we're going to edit, and we're going to update for selected, and we're going to say they completed. We can click Apply. But that's just changed it here. We still need to click Save. This last step is tricky and worth just a minute to look at. If we want to track attendance for only one participant, what it says is to use the Manage Benefit Disbursements component on a benefits assignment or care plan record. Now, the instruction suggests we use the benefit assignment record. So if we're interested in the benefit assignment record, and we're starting from the benefit session. This lightning component has a link to recipient. So if we go for George, and we're looking for George's benefit assignment, looking for a path, I'm not finding anything. This just shows you how many different objects there are in the NonProfit cloud. The one we want isn't showing here. So instead we can look at all benefits, and we could find a benefit assignment record for George. Or we could also go out to the parent record. We know that the healthy cooking is part of the nutrition program, and so we can drop down and we can look for George's, and we can see that we have it here. So either way, eventually we can find our way to his program enrollment record to get to George's benefit assignment for intermediate health cooking. That's a BA 17. So let's open that one. And again, the instructions talk about a manage benefit disbursements component. Well, unfortunately, when I opened up benefit assignments, it wasn't there. If I go out to the Lightning App Builder and look at standard objects for the benefit assignment record, what I find is that there is a manage benefits disbursement standard Lightning component that I can pull in. So now we have that. So we can change any of these that we care to. What I'm looking at is the delivered session. So I'm going to go out here to benefits disbursement 140, and I can change that from enrolled to absent. Zero him out here. Save that, and this is the 11th. I'm going to save it here, and then back up to my delivered session and refresh it. And he was absent. We can also go out to the benefits session and refresh this now. And what I have is George with 0. But to navigate to George was the challenge. But this lets us move on to the next step, which is to look at ad hoc one-time disbursements or benefits to an anonymous participant.